Well, hello, everybody. It's your boy once again, Sam, aka The Train. I love Pennsylvania, Maine. My Pennsylvanias and CSXs. That was a good one. So, as I've said before, and we'll say again, if you don't like my intro, I don't know what to tell you and I can't help you, but I'm glad that you're here. So, as you've seen, this is I think this will be the third video of layout number 4 or 5. I've gotten a lot of complaints about shakiness and my panning. I've also been doing a lot more tutorial style videos. That being said, I also have a fishing YouTube channel, Puff Puff Bass, as in largemouth bass, Puff Puff Bass Fishing. So we go out and fish and camp and all that stuff. And I realized 10 minutes ago, I have a tripod that I use on the bass boat. So we're gonna be doing some tripod shots from now on. And I'm sure many of you will appreciate that, especially with what I plan to show you in this video. It's the perfect time to whip that out. That's what she said. So on a serious note, like I said, I plan on, and I guess I have been, documenting this layout build much more so than the previous 2 or 3. I guess this will be the 4th I've documented, my 5th overall. So let's jump right back on in. So since the last time I left you, I'd started working with some Atlas Code 80 Flex track. I've now got my track plan in mind, 90% done and finalized, and I've got a decent chunk of my main line glued down. So we'll start back here. I'm using this old power pack to power the layout. In the meantime, I've got just a little test train right there. I always like to test train with my one of my most reliable engines, and then always my longest car and my shortest car. So again, I know this engine, I've had it forever, little Bachmann Alco RS3. And then this is a Microtrains, brand new actually, the 8-car Pennsylvania Mail Express. This is the longest car in my fleet. And then this is the shortest, it's a CSX, I believe it'd be like a 40-foot or 40-foot box car, I want to say. Correct me if I'm wrong. Reason being, always can depend on the locomotive operating properly. Longest car for the radiuses and turnouts to test, and then the shortest car, same thing. So right here is my test train. So the track plan, it's going to be a loop again, a long loop. This is 16 feet with the backdrop hiding the rear, and I'll do my tunnels or, you know, buildings hiding it going into pretend land. And on the front, the main goes all the way. Then I'm going to have a very long passing siding or secondary main line. Scale miles wise, it might as well be a secondary main or branch line that all the industries and the leads will come off of. So I've got from here all the way around the first loop. It's glued down. This is a Woodland Scenics foam roadbed. Again, this is N-Scale Atlas Code 80 Flex track. I've used the Woodland Scenics roadbed for my previous layouts, and I'm absolutely in love with it. So, like I said, it's glued down all the way up until my, well, I guess the second of 2, but my final loop around. I mean, you can even see from here how long this is. And again, it's a shelf style layout. So I got my shelf brackets. This was 1x3s, hardwood 4x8 boards cut in half, and then 2-inch pink foam. Like I said, that main line is all glued down. I've soldered all these sections of track together, which I believe I showed you in the last video. Filed them all down. I'm having no power issues. So what I've done for the first time on this layout, I always use Pico Insole Frog or Electro Frog switches for my industries and yards. I used to use Kato and Bachmann to get off the main lines into the industries and yards, then I would use Atlas Track and Pico. It's like the lower profile, but I'm using Pico Insole Frog turnouts for everything on the entire layout. Insole Frog meaning that the frog here is plastic, insulating the polarity from the rails going to the siding or the industry or off the main, meaning, which I'm going to be again running DCC, meaning that I need to do wiring if I want this to work properly or work at all for DCC. So this is all glued down. One thing I will say is I never actually glue the turnouts down. On my first layout I did, and it was a huge mistake. It ruined a few turnouts, and then pulling them up to try and salvage them when I destroyed my layout or needed to replace them. So I always glue down everything, but I never actually glue down the turnout. But everything you see is glued down. I didn't glue down this entire piece of flex, same length down there. I just glued down about a little over half of it, right up to this blue line. Everything's glued. So when I go to fit in the rest, I have some play room. You can see where it stops. I have a little nail right there. So like I said, I never glue those down, but with the turnout not being glued and the branch line and the main being glued, you get no play up here. And obviously the main coming into the switch is not glued, or is glued, so you get no real play. So like I said, I need to wire. I started tonight. I've been practicing on my little workbench, but I actually dropped some true wiring tonight, and it works. So first, let me show you what I'm actually using. So here, we'll go over here. I have all my various pieces of stuff I'm using. What I bought and was, I'm in 30 or 40 Facebook groups, including my own global HO N scale. Just type in global model railroading, you'll find it. I'm the admin. Request, join up, happy to have you. All my groups, the majority of people said to use 20 gauge wire. So I bought, I think these are, I want to say they're 27 feet a piece. All 6 spools. This was like $14 on Amazon, 20 gauge wire. I went to Home Depot, but they wanted me to cut to length. They didn't have this kind of stuff in stock. And I'm looking on Amazon as I'm walking the aisles of Home Depot, and it just made sense to buy, 6 colors at one time. This is 27 feet. I have a feeling I'm only going to use this much wire for the entire layout, so $15 to last me forever. Again, it's 20 gauge. I've seen people say they use 22 or 18, but this is the perfect, I don't know what to show you in reference to, like to the drill bit or even to my finger, I suppose is decent. 20 gauge. And then wiring it to the layout, you could see, it's pretty, almost the perfect size. And then I have my wire cutters, strippers and cutters. And you can see it's got all the various gauges. You can crimp, you can actually cut. There's needle nose on it too, which I guess might as well throw that on a pair of pliers. I got a new pair because my old pair, I don't know what the hell happened to them. I've had them from years and years ago, but this was like 14 bucks on Amazon. So for more wire than I'll use on the next 5 layouts and new wire cutters. I'm pissed I lost the old ones though. I hate losing stuff that I've had forever, but 30 bucks. Call it 35 with, well, no, because I have Prime, so free shipping. So 30 bucks. And then my soldering iron, this I actually got from Amazon, and it came with all kinds of attachments and whatnot like 3-4 years ago. I love it to death. It was, I forget how much it cost, but it was like a starter set. Came with all kinds of nonsense, and it's worked wonders. Definitely worth the money if you've not ventured into soldering. So that's what I am using. So what I went ahead and did, again, everything from this switch all the way to right here. I just haven't put in the final turn yet because I'm going to figure out my power supply track this week is my goal. And then I can get the final turn in. And I mean, it won't take much to road bed it, secure the track. So everything from this blue line literally to this blue line is glued down and will be permanent. Knowing that, I'm like, well, I might as well start wiring. Like I said, these are Insole Frog, so I need power here, and then I'll need power here. This is some pink foam because I had to drill down. So what I went ahead and did, I took my good old drill and I drilled holes down right where I wanted the wires to be. And then I fed the wires, cut the length, and I went and I soldered the wires too. So right now, this is Insulfrog and Electrofrog. They're both power routing, meaning right now it's thrown to the siding. So if there was no wiring at all, it's thrown to the siding. So the locomotive would be powered right now. And it is, because I have the wiring, but without the wiring, it would be powered right now. And then if there was no wiring, and I flip it back to the main, in theory right now, without this wiring job that I just did, there should be no power. But there is, because I wired it up. So as you can see, when you go to wire, every rail is going to be the same polarity as the matching rail. If you cross things up, you're going to have a short, or if you have a reverse loop, you're going to have a short. Things could get pretty weird pretty quick and confusing pretty quick. So make sure you know what color wires you're using for what polarity and for what purpose, your bus wire, or these would be feeder wires. So let's just call it the outside rail and the inside rail. I took the outside rail, and this is my first wire job. It's not pretty, but I'm pretty impressed and happy with how it looks for the first time. I'll probably clean these up a bit because unsoldering and taking the wires off is pretty simple. So I went outside rail to outside rail, and then inside rail to inside rail. And then I'm going to again do the same thing outside. And I'll probably, what I'll do is just use the outside wire and the inside wire, splice into them under the layout, and then just drop another feeders up to here. So this is where the power is coming from, and this wire will power this outside, and the inside will power this inside rail, which it already does, and this inside rail. So, like I said, the power routing turnout is now universal. The thing is, well, here, let me show you now. So the conundrum, and it's, oops, of course I had it thrown the wrong direction. Give me a second. I'm just going to run the locomotive. It makes life easy. So the conundrum is, now the main is powered and it's on the main. And if I throw this, it should stop, and it will, because it's past where the power runs to. And like the turnout is supposed to work, how it was designed, it's thrown for the siding, but the locomotive's on the main. So once I push this back, it's going to power up again. So what I need to do is, like I said, I'll probably just tap into these feeder wires and then just power this. And then, you know, no matter what way it's thrown, there will be power going both directions. So I know my theory, you just saw it works on the siding. I just translate the exact same thing to the main line, and then go ahead and do the exact same thing down here. So again, outside rail to outside, and then outside to outside, and then same thing, inside to inside, inside to inside. And the reason you might be thinking, why do it when you already did it down there on these same two tracks? Well, because down here I have another stop. It's a Insulfrog power routing, so the power needs to be consistent to match up with everything. This is basically one long runaround. So if I had it thrown this way to be on the branch line down there, I would need to have it thrown the same direction to power this track. If I had it thrown one way or the other, neither would be powered, depending if the locomotive's on the main and it's lined for the main or not, because once it gets down to here, if the power is running on the main and it's thrown to the siding, it's going to stop here, and vice versa down there. So if you're confused, go rewatch. I might not be the best person to explain all of this, but it does make perfect sense. And if you're trying to think what I'm describing, and if you've been thinking it, you are correct. So let's see how this tripod works out, but it's working. So I'm going to be, you saw that when I throw the switch, well, the locomotive's on the main, it's right here. Well, the locomotive's on the main, This siding is now powered full time, but the main line still loses power when I throw it line to the siding. So I'm going to run feeder wires from the main line power to the main line over here. So first thing I'm going to do is strip a bit of wire. I just have a big pile of scrap over there so I can vacuum it all up at one time. And there you have it. It's already tinned, which is nice, so there's no strands. Makes life nice and easy when I'm going to actually solder. So, and I'm going to bring it up and solder it right into my existing feeders. All right, so I got it down through this hole, and I'm gonna bring it up through this hole. We're gonna do the outer rail first. So yeah, so I just fed it down this hole and brought it right up here. Here's the end that I cut. So now that I know how long it needs to be, it's not drooping very much. So these also have a nice cutting feature right here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that. Again, this is 20 gauge wire. Move that out of the way, and I'll strip this end now. And the good thing is, I'll show you, I hope you can see, I keep looking at the camera to make sure I'm showing you properly, but you see those numbers. So that very top hole is 20 and 22 gauge. So you know exactly what wire size to put in the hole so you don't cut the wire or strip too much or make a mess. So put it in there. I'm also a big proponent of a clean workbench. If I'm not using something, then I'm not having it up here. These cars were here because you saw me pull them off the rails, move them out of the way. Got my solder, got this nail just to help move stuff around if I need it. The gun, power pack, but there's nothing else here. So now I have a nice long strand of solder, and there's this wire right here is the outer rail. So I want to connect this to that same wire or solder it to the track in the same spot. I'm just going to connect it to the wire. So let's see if I can zoom in for you right there. You see, so I want to, this is the outer rail soldered to the wire, and I want to take this wire and I'm just going to solder it to the wire instead of the rail. Keep the rails nice and clear. So good thing is you can deal with your length underneath the table. So I know which wire it is. I'm just going to bring it down here. Should be a nice simple solder. This is nice and hot. So that it's not pretty, but I got two wires soldered together and soldered to the track right there. So now I'm going to do the same thing, but I brought up this wire right here, and I'm going to solder to the outside rail of right here. So give me 1 second, let me feed it to the proper spot. I don't know what I was thinking, I brought it up wrong. And as you can see I drilled a hole right here, and I'm going to drill another hole right here. Nice and easy, nice long drill bit. I'm still filming, right? I'm gonna chop all this up and edit it, so forget what it looks like, but. So you can see right here, I have the outside rail and inside rail. Now I have outside rail right here, and we'll solder that to the outside rail. So you can see it good, nice and good, okay. So I always like to bend it to where it needs to be. Decide where it's going to go. Where's my nail to hold this track in place? So I see exactly where it's going to be, and you can see I have the wire pretty much butted up against the track right here. And so what's nice is, like I said, pull the wire from the bottom as length as you need. If you need to bring it back up a little bit, pull it from the top, but you can, you know, it's very bendy, but holds its contours. So, and now again, soldering iron's still hot. I always put a little bit of solder right on the tip, give you something to work with immediately. And let's go ahead and Perfect. That was easy. I never like to breathe that stuff in either, but yep, she's on there. So you can see that was my best one yet so far. I don't know why I'm doing it much cleaner over here than I am over there. I'll clean this up eventually. But keep in mind too, so the idea is once I'm ready to ballast, I'm hoping to hide a lot of this with ballast. And if I have to do some Scenics around it or pull them down a bit and reattach them, today's literally the first day I've ever soldered wire to track. I've been soldering now for a couple years. Was nervous about learning it on the railroad, but it was nice and easy. Once you get, there's a learning curve, but you just got to take your time. So now again, so where's my wire? So let me pause it real quick, and I'm going to run another feeder where I'm going to get them in place, and I'll show you soldering from the outside rail or inside rail to the inside rail. So hang on. I'm going to go ahead and solder this to the outside rail in the same spot as the other one, and then I will repeat the process. So I like to work with my solder in nice strips, just makes it easier to manage and do by hand. So again, it holds its shape real well. I like to work from the bottom and pull down exactly what I need, and it keeps it in place very nicely. So it's about right there, perfect. It's also why I enjoy keeping my layout nice and clean, getting all the foam dust off each evening when I'm done or during the day whenever I'm doing it. Just always have a clean workbench to come back to when I'm restarting. Again, hot knife or hot iron, a little bit on the tip. Okay, I think that's good. Not pretty, but then again, now this one will be. So hang tight, let's move over here. I apologize about the angles, but the tripod, I'm just trying to get video. This will probably be a longer video, which is fine. So again, work from the bottom. It's perfect right there. Let's get this nail out of the way. It's a good spot. Good thing is, when you're doing soldering, it dries almost instantaneously. So if it's gonna work or not, you don't gotta wait hours to find out. You wait seconds. So a little bit of solder on the tip. Actually, I have a lot on there right now, more than I need. Perfect. I don't know what it is. When I'm working over there, it's disgusting. Over here, it's simple and beautiful. All right, so let's, like I said, let's test my theory out. So it's on the siding right now, and it's, so if you could see, it's thrown for the main, and it's on the siding and it's working. I don't want to derail, so let's get them back over here. Now let's throw them on the main. All right, so moment of truth. So he's on the main. I'm going to throw the switch for the siding, but it should all be powered now. So when I go ahead and turn the dial, it should run. So if I did this right, when I turn the dial, the locomotive will move even though it's thrown for the siding. And I bet it's gonna work. Yep. Yeehaw. So it works. And now let's go back. Same, throw it to the siding. So let's go forward. Line it for the siding. It's on the siding. I'm gonna throw it back to the main. So there you have it. So I just wired up for DCC. So in essence, in theory, I can have an engine on this track and on this track, both doing their own thing, whatever it might be, even to try to crash them into each other. And they're both powered independently from the power source, which is going to be down here. This is junk. I just have it as a test. So everything I just tried to show you worked perfectly. I'm going to pick up the tripod now. And so as you can see, I went, both outer main connections are right here, and it's not pretty. I'm going to clean these up, but now that I know that it works perfectly. And then over here, I did a really nice job. They're small. They're very low profile with the track. Like, look at that. You know, it's not the prettiest job of all time, but they're low enough. I'm able to just ballast right over that. So shout out to Ron's Trains and Things, and It's My Railroad. for the inspiration to actually take my railroading career a step further. See how it's hideous over here, but then over here it's so nice. Like, what is wrong? But now I know I can fix it. So let me show you the underside of the layout, and then I'm retiring for the night, because not only is this a huge accomplishment, but it is definitely a new milestone for me, wiring for true DCC. And I don't know if you can tell or not, but I'm very stoked right now. So let's get underneath. And okay, so I used all my feeder wires. Over here are all white. Honestly, it's not really going to matter for me because I'm not running a super long bus line, but I can go through now, and I probably will. I'm going to take blue painter's tape and just put, corresponding. I don't know how I'm going to label it and keep it all organized. Before I go ahead and do the far side down here, I'm going to drill holes, run the bus, make all the feeders nice and tidy. But I'm going to, label them in an organized way so everything stays nice and neat. Because then for one day, if the siding's not working, I know what wires to pull or what to look at if there's a short, and really alleviates problems along the way. So I know just from what I've done tonight that it's going to lead to much more success, optimal performance, and overall longevity in the hobby now that I can. I guess I could have all along, but it's one of those things: soldering, wiring, true track work, even soldering your joints. I mean, if you're having derailment problems and you're having power issues, it's likely because of power connections and track work. So in reality, once you get to Scenics, all that other stuff, that's what makes it look fun. But if it runs like crap, and you've seen my layouts, and they ran, well, they've been getting better and better, but they ran like crap. And now, even initially, I'm ridding myself of those problems from the start. So the train main, I hope this is helpful to you. If you're looking for an expert and a how-to in every single step, nice and neat and clean, and that's been done 50 times by a guy that's got 30 years experience, Ron's Trains and Things, It's My Railroad. There's 100 other channels out there. Barnabas Junction. Shout out to all of them for giving me the confidence to at least start, and now seeing what they did and taking it to my own layout definitely helps. So tips and tricks, Tony Hawk style, something you like or want to see or don't like or whatever, just interact with me. Join my Facebook group, Global HO Scale Paradise Conglomerate the Third Esquire. Say what up, and I will see you soon. So thank you again for all the support and everything. The Train Mother Main out.